Here we go again. It's gonna be so much fun. Writing some code. Xcode. Open it up now. By the way, if you didn't know, this is Mark Price from DevSlopes.com. You're like, yeah, I heard it the last 1,000 times. Well, now you know. So we're gonna talk today about categories. Objective-C categories, okay? We're gonna create it. Basically, a category is just an extension of a class, okay? I actually use these quite a bit on my professional projects. For instance, one category I use all the time is an extension to NSDate. I'm not happy with all the date. They have date formatting tools, but it doesn't always give me what I need because I like to use one type of format. Usually it's ISO date format. I use it on the back end, the front end. And so I want to do all these tools that, you know, the month, the years, and it just formats that for you exactly as you need. And as you start working with dates, you're going to understand how it's a pain working with dates. So I create this category. And basically, it's an extension NSDate, and all I have to do is include it in my project, and it adds extra features to the NSDate class so I can use it right on my in my project. So let's go ahead and play around with it. New file. It's really easy. So first, we're going to create a class. Let's call this Honda. Okay, it's going to be a Honda. All right. You know, so this Honda, okay, has some properties. Non-atomic, strong, you know, NS string. This one, you know, probably the model, right? At property, non-atomic, strong. We'll say NS number. Call this miles. Okay, probably has a function too, or multiple functions, right? So void. Maybe we want to increase the miles. So increase miles, you know, to odometer. Just playing around to odometer. Another one that's probably like drive, right? Okay, so we got some generic functions here and some properties. Let's go ahead and implement these functions like so. And we're just gonna leave them blank for now, okay? So the idea is you have a class, right? And it has core functionality, okay? Here's our core functionality for our class, okay? You got a nice Honda right off the lot. It's pretty, brand new car, you know, not too bad. This is a Honda. It's a good, old, reliable car. But then, all of a sudden, you know, Sloppy Joe, gangster guy with his hat to the side, you know, and his baggy pants, skinny white guy, right? He's like, you know what? I want to soup up my Honda. You know, so he's like, yeah, let's create a category for that. And so he's like, all right, so let's go ahead and create a category. And I believe we select Objective-C file here. And you click Next. And instead of empty file, you're going to pick category. By the way, extension is very similar to category. We're not going to cover it, but basically an extension is just like a category, an extension to a class, except you can only use it on your own classes. Whereas a category, you can use it on other people's compiled source code to extend the functionality and features, okay? So this category is going to be called souped up, if that's how you spell it, souped up, okay? And file type category, great. Class, we want it to be of class Honda. Okay, a category of Honda. So, you know, you remember that old school Offspring song? He's like, pretty fly for a white guy. Like, whenever I see these guys in those Hondas, that's like what I think about. Like, you know, those skinny white guys who like think they're cool with those souped up Hondas. Anyway, so cool Sloppy Joe gangster, that's his gangster name, by the way. He's like, I want to soup up my Honda. So what does he do? He does some really stupid stuff, okay? This is what he does, okay? Add ugly spoiler. He adds a function here called add ugly spoiler, okay? Then he does something else. It's his category, he can do what he wants, okay? Add ugly spoiler. He also wants to add gold plastic spinner rims, okay? Because that's cool, okay? And so yeah, and then for some reason, okay, he wants to scrape off half the paint, right? What is it with friggin' Hondas and these souped up Hondas, like half the car, all the paint scraped off? Like, you're just showing that you're doing something on it? Oh, and lastly, there is another function we want to add, you know, called add horrible sounding muffler. Okay. You all with me so far? So this category is adding features to the Honda car, okay? And this could have been an NS string, of course, as well too, that we're adding a category to. And of course, you could add properties as well too. So we could add a property, non-atomic, and this one is going to be strong. And let's make this NS number, and it's going to have a wow factor, right? Okay, so this property also has a wow factor. And it's probably going to end up like -1 or something. But anyway, my point is properties and functions or methods you can extend to a category. So, Sloppy Joe Gangster is doing some really cool stuff here. And let's go ahead and implement these functions now. Okay. Here in the implementation file. Boom. Boom. Okay. All right, and of course these would do things, right? Do stuff. I don't need to write it out, right? These are just functions that would do stuff, okay? So my point is, what is it yelling at me for? Oh, we need to, since we're using a category, we need to use a set wow factor to be defined. So you can just do that here. Void set wow factor, okay? Oh, and then we need to, okay, so yeah, self.wowFactor equals wow factor, and then we got to use the dynamic keyword, okay, for that property. If you wanted to have a property in your category, most of the time it's not common to have properties in categories. It's more so extended functionality, okay. But anyway, so this is cool, right? So we've got a Honda and we've got the Honda souped up, and what we can do is here in our view controller now, we can import. Well, first off, let's import the Honda. Let's just see how that works, okay? So we got a regular old Honda. Let's create one. Okay, so we're gonna say Honda equals Honda allocate and initialize, right? So there's our Honda. And it has its default functionality such as increase miles drive, okay? And then we've got these ones over here such as add ugly spoiler. Let's see if we can add an ugly spoiler. Can I do that? So if I say Honda, add ugly, you can't. All we have is access to the core features and functionality. So now, Sloppy Joe Gangster, he imports his category. Honda plus souped up.h, okay? Now, let's see what kind of damage he can do. Honda, add ugly spoiler. So, now you can see you're adding functionality to a class that never existed before, okay? And you can, of course, do this with NS-string. Like if you wanted to have a bunch of formatting of characters or things, or you wanted to create something that truncates out decimal periods and converts it to strings and all kinds of things, you can do that in the string category. You can make categories for all the default Objective-C classes for all your own classes. Really cool stuff. And or you could do damage here like Mr. Sloppy Joe Gangster did by, adding, gold plastogram. So he can do all kinds of damage now and destroy your perfectly made class. So enough of that. That's categories. Very similar with extensions, except extensions can only be done on your own code where you actually have the full source code. Okay? Any questions? All right, that's it. Mark Price at devslopes.com. See you later.
And remember, to get your free live help, go to devslopes.com and click on the chat room. We have thousands of students in there helping each other out. Also, click on the forums. This is where you can search for answers to your code problems, and you can also post your own issues. So head on over now.